Okay, in this video we're going to look at some of the ways you can get to your leads and create a lead sheet for your rep to go out that night. So the first thing you might be looking at is, where can I find enough leads to send a rep? On the home page, if you scroll down, you'll see that the leads are grouped by cities and by zip count, high to low. So one of the things you could look at see is, okay, where do you have the most leads available? And then you could go to the zip code list and see which one has the most viable leads still. Now, a lot of these we haven't cleaned up the dates on, and so there's some older dates on these, but you can get an idea. If I went to that particular zip code, 80134, I'd probably have a pretty target-rich environment. If you scroll down the list, you'll see it goes in numerical order, sorted by the count of leads in that zip code. If I go to the third page here, you'll see these are some zip codes that maybe only have one or two leads in them, so you can group those perhaps with other zip codes. So that's a quick way to find a spot to put someone. You can just write those zip codes down, or once you have a zip code in mind, now you can go over to the leads table. And you'll see that the zip codes are again listed as filters here. If I collapse that, I thought I could, you'll also see the cities listed below that. I'm going to take an example of using just one zip code. So I can do a couple things. I could either just click on the zip code if it's visible there, or I can type in the zip code. Either way, it gives me the same result. I can only type in a zip code if I'm working one zip code. If I want to work multiple zip codes, I have to close that filter out. I have to go down to all choices at the bottom of the zip code list here, and now it gives me all up to 200 zip codes in my filter. And I can select multiple zip codes and say OK, and it's going to pull those together. Okay, you see it pulled these two zip codes together, and it gave me a total count of both zip codes. There's 24 in 80023, and if I scroll down, there's 107 in the other zip code. The other thing to notice is it pulls the zip codes up in alphabetical order according to the last visit. So the new ones are on top, not home, and the next ones are not home empties. If you have a move-in date, it goes there at the top. So there's according to the way you code the lead for the status, it's going to sort it automatically. You see notes at the bottom and vacant. That's useful when you go to create your lead sheet. I'm going to show you a single zip code procedure, and just take a look here. You can see I put a priority, AP, on a lead I want to go back to the very next time I'm in that zip code. You put MID, move-in date, when it is that you've talked to the old homeowner and the new homeowner hasn't moved in yet. I put in the notes when they said to come back, and also put the next visit date as the same date. That way, once that date passes, it shows back up on the list. And we're now on March 3rd, so it is showing up on the list. Then my news show up. These are leads that were just entered into the system. Has the date created over here. And then I have the not homes. I write notes. If there's a dog barking at me when I hit that door, I know someone's going to let that dog out. So I put dog on there, and it helps me prioritize my not homes later that night. Any other notes, just put in here. You can see not homes go next, and then we go down to not home empties, and finally notes. So this particular zip code has 110 prospects that are still viable. And what I want to do is I want to make a lead sheet for tonight. I want to pick my 30 best leads for tonight. So I go over here to the More tab, and I say Save as a Spreadsheet. That opens it up, doesn't affect anything in the database. It just gives me a spreadsheet to work off of. So the very first thing I do is I click between A and 1 up here in the top column. That highlights the whole sheet. I double click between A and B. That opens up everything so I can see it. And I have my order here of how I want to approach these. The APs are always going to go to the top. Any move-in dates, now I want to go hit them. They're just like brand new leads, and then my new leads, and then my not homes. What you might want to do also is take a look at your not home empties, and you want to sprinkle a few of those in. So the very first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go say, okay, how many leads do I want to go to tonight? I want to go to about 30 leads. I'm going to hit these 20 because they're the brand new ones and not homes in descending date order. And I want to make sure I get at least 5 of my not home empties in here. So I'm going to go down to my not homes, just get rid of all these. And when I get to my not home empties, I'll delete those rows. I'll just move those up. Now I'll grab those next 5 not home empties, put them on my list, and I have a total of 30 some leads. Alright, I'm going to put my name and the date. I'm going to go out today, let's say 3/3/16. I put 3/3/16 in 2 columns there. Make sure my name is in 2 of the rows. I grab all 4 of those and I drag it down. If I don't drag all 4, watch what happens. It'll give me the dates 3/4, 3/5, 3/6, 3/7, and it'll not be the dates I want for my visit dates. So I have to put 2 dates. I have to grab all 4 of those cells, take the bottom corner and drag it down to 31, 32, actually 31. That'll give me 30 leads for the night. I grab last visit to related prospect on down, Control C, and now when I go back over to my database, I'm going to go to the visits table. I'm going to move these leads from my spreadsheet into the visits table. I'm going to go over to the More button, Import Export. I'm going to import them from the clipboard. It pre-selects the visit table, and I'm going to click right here, Paste Data. So now I'm moving all that information over. I import it, and I just make a quick check to make sure that the last visit, the number of visits, the notes, the visit rep, visit date, and related prospect are what are underneath these column headers. The only one that messes up from time to time is this one. Sometimes it will put status in there, and you don't want status. You want number of visits. Once you've checked that, make sure that all these headers are correct, click on Import, and now those 30 visits were imported into the visits table. Now I'm ready to create my sheet for tonight. I'm going to go out and visit those people, so I go to Visits. I click on my name, or the rep name. Click on the visit date. Because I'm working on these today, I can just click on Today and say Done. Now it's going to pull up those 30 visits that I just created, and they're all here in the database. I want to make a sheet, so I go to More, Save as Spreadsheet, and I go down to my spreadsheet. OK. This is where I'm going to gebweb. I'm still going to go straight to the box at the top to highlight the entire sheet between A and 1. Double click between A and B, opens everything up. I'm going to grab these addresses and start gebwebbing. I hit Control C. I go out to the gebweb page, put it in the bulk box, paste, Control V, add list of locations. Now while those are populating, I can go back over to my spreadsheet and clean it up a little bit. I don't need any of these headers across the top, so I delete them. I'm going to grab my name and the date, Control C, put that in A1, Control V. Now I've got a name and a date on this sheet. When I print it, I know what day these visits were for and what rep they were for. I'm going to go to K through O and just delete those. We don't need that information anymore. And I'm going to collapse this sheet, tighten it up by clicking between A and B. I have a column H that I don't need. I'm going to delete that, and I've got left a sheet that's pretty good shape. Only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight H, I'm going to drag it over a little bit, and I'm going to do a thing called wrap text. That just shortens my notes up here without affecting the spreadsheet, other than making that column a little wider. Alright, now I'm ready to go back over to my gebweb. All of my leads are positioned here. I'm going to pick a starting point, start location, and I'm going to pick an ending location, and I'm going to do fastest trip, A to Z. While that's happening, I'm going to go back over to my spreadsheet real quick. I'm going to draw a box around the leads. I'm going to add column I in here just so I have some space to write notes. Once I've highlighted columns A through I, I'm going to do Control 1. At the same time, that'll bring up the Format Cells table. I'm going to hit Border. I'm going to outline them, and I'm going to go right here and put a line in the middle of every box. Okay, so I'm doing outline, and in the middle box here, I'm going to say OK. Now you can see I have nice little lines running through here that allows me to write results on this line. I'm going to go back over to the gebweb, see if it's about done, and of course I'm going to pause this recording while it finishes out there. Okay, the gebweb is just about to complete, and now it is mapped out. I'm just going to go over to Export, Optimal Address. You see it highlights in blue the routing there. I'm going to hit Control C, go back over to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to go to L2 and hit Control V. Typically this column isn't wide enough, it's like that, so I click between L and M and it spreads it out. I'm going to put my cursor in K2, going to highlight everything all the way down, hit Control 1 again to bring up my format box, outline, and hit the line between. Now I have lines so that I can write results here, transfer those results over to column I. And the last thing I need to do is print my sheet. Some computers require you to set the print area under page layout. You might be wondering where that is. Hit print area, set print area, hit page setup. I want to hit landscape, fit to one page, and then we can preview this, and that's what it's going to look like. It's going to the date and the name of the rep. It's got their driving route on this side, and it's got the transfer transfer the notes over here, because this is the way they are in order in the computer, and of course just print that sheet. At the end of the evening, your rep's going to take a picture of this and any notes he might have added, so that you can have somebody update their results, and that's how you create a lead sheet. It takes about 5 minutes typically, including gebweb time per rep. Alright, that's how you create a lead list and put them into the visits and get a list out to your rep.